Hey guys, the Comms here. Today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be starting a new series today, a brew series if you will, where I try to push the boundaries of conventional deck building and experiment a little bit. Today we're not going to be doing anything too crazy, and we're going to try to keep all these decks competitive at a high level of ladder play, so they're fun but still good. Today we're not going to be talking about anything super crazy. We're going to be playing Tech Druid, or you can call it Hate Bears since it has a lot of hate cards and Druid has animal type things. Oh, oops, looks like we're selecting a card back here. Basically the idea behind the deck is that we take out some of the more mid-range value minions like Piloted Shredder, maybe a Zombie Chow for the early game against the aggro decks, and some things of that nature, maybe a Rag. And instead we try to play as many tech or hate cards as we can, because the value from playing those tech cards, when we do play them, they're huge tempo swings, and they should help us close out the game more than mid-range value minions would. So let's go ahead and take a look at the deck here. So we have some of the classic Druid base. Innervate and Wild Growth are your mana acceleration. You want to play that in almost any Druid deck. So we have those. They'll help us accelerate into some of our late game threats, as well as place some of our tech cards on the correct turns. Then we have 2 Wrath, just good as removal or for cycling. Really a card with many purposes. You can even cycle it on your own minions, so pretty solid and decent card there. We are playing this in a double combo Druid shell, meaning we're playing 2 copies of Savage Roar and 2 copies of Force of Nature. That's because hopefully our tech cards give us enough tempo advantage where we can combo off pretty fast. So we're playing more of a fast Druid than we are a grinder or mid-range to controlling Druid. We have our first tech card, but this is one most Druid decks play, Big Game Hunter. So again, huge tempo swing. If they have a 7 attack minion and we play this, then we're 1 for zeroing them, where we still get a body, and that body also kills the creature basically for free. So we have a 4/2, and we've destroyed probably their largest creature on the board. So a huge tempo swing. If you can get Big Game Hunter out on their creatures, and since they're playing a huge creature, you likely have a lot of mana. You can play like Big Game Hunter with one of your 5-drops, usually going to be pretty strong. Against Control Warrior, you even have some turns where you Big Game Hunter and Harrison them, and that's just crippling. We have a Mind Control tech. This is a tech card that less Druid decks play, but still quite good. It's good against Patron Warrior because you can steal like Patron or a Frothing, and if they have a War Song in play, that creature will actually get charged also. Since the battle cry happens before MC Tech enters, if you steal a Juggler from like a Zoo or Hunter deck, the Juggler will actually trigger. So MC Tech has a lot of cool interactions with those kinds of decks, and again, it steals one of their creatures when they have 4 or more, which is, again, huge tempo swing. And it's not actually that hard to trigger because Dr. Boom puts 3 creatures into play, so they play Dr. Boom with a creature on the board, and most decks do play Dr. Boom. You just gotta steal a creature and then you're all good there. So, pretty solid tech card. Somewhat played in Druid decks, but not as common as Big Game Hunters, almost in all of them. We do have 2 Shader Noxramas. This is kind of in touch with the double combo shell, since it is a minion that can stay on the board quite a long time and allow you to combo off and win. Double Swipe, Druid's premier removal spell, really good. A little bit awkward against Patron Warrior, but that is Druid's most commonly worst matchup. Hopefully some of our tech cards like Harrison and MC Tech make that a little bit better. But quite a good removal spell against most of their decks, and can also go to face to finish them off after we've comboed them out, things like that. 2 Keeper, again, very versatile minion. 2 are played in most Druid decks. You can silence creatures, you can deal 2 damage. It's both to face and to opposing creatures, so you can use this as removal to push for lethal, silence, taunts, etc. Really just a great creature. We have a Keza Mystic, another one of our tech cards. Great against a lot of the tempo mage decks that are be playing, because stealing Mirror Entity not only denies them a creature, but gives you one as well. So it's almost like Mind Control on a stick, except the creature's usually going to be pretty bad since they do know that it's Mirror Entity. And then great against Hunters as well, because you can steal their Explosive and Freezing Traps, which are also huge tempo swings. We do have 1 Piloted Shredder, since we have some extra room in the deck. We want another 4-drop creature. Piloted Shredder is quite strong, but we did cut 1 to fit in tech cards like Keza Mystic. Next we have 2 Druid of the Claws. Great because they can charge for our combo damage, which we're looking for since we are playing the double combo Druid, and also good as taunts against the more aggressive decks. Harrison Jones, another tech card, great against Patron Warrior and Control Warrior. Patron Warrior has been dominant for a while now, and we're seeing a lot more Control Warrior, so it just eats weapons and lets you draw cards to combo off faster. Also good against Rogues if you see any of those, and Paladins, although those decks are less common on ladder, and even Shamans if they're playing things like Doomhammer or other Shaman weapons like Power Mace. Next we have Lotheb, which again played in a lot of decks and a lot of Druid decks, but also a tech card since it does make their spells cost more, so great against things like Freeze Mage and Miracle Rogue type decks or Oil Rogue. You want to make sure against Freeze Mage though to play this before their Alexstrasza turn or their Thaurissan turn, otherwise the effect is almost wasted. But we'll talk about that more if we play that matchup. And it's also good against Tempo Mage, which is again a deck that's going around. We have 2 Force of Nature. I already talked about the Force of Nature Savage Roar package. We do have an Emperor Thaurissan, since we can innervate it or Wild Growth it out early, and then it reduces the cost of all our cards, meaning we can play multiple tech cards in a turn for huge tempo swing, or combo faster, or just play big creatures. We do have a Black Knight. This is our last tech card in the deck. Black Knight is quite strong against other Druid decks, since you can usually kill a Druid of the Claw or a Belcher or some sort of thing like that. Deathlord Hunter is actually pretty popular as this is being recorded, the mid-range Deathlord Hunter deck. So this is great against Deathlord since it just kills it and gets another one of our minions, hopefully something on the larger side. It's quite good against most decks that play Belcher, and a lot of decks do. And even against Face Hunter, it can find a use by killing Mishra off Animal Companion. Also fine against Tempo Mage, since they can get the taunt spare part, and sometimes they put it on Antonidas. You can Black Knight Antonidas, and it's really just good to have a tech card they never expect. Now that we've gone over all our tech cards, before I talk about some of the higher curve than deck, I'm going to go ahead and mention that since we are playing 2 copies of Savage Roar and trying to combo them off as fast as possible, even if some of our tech cards like Kazan Mystic or Harrison or Black Knight miss against their deck, it's still fine to play them on curve. Some of them are fine for the mana cost, like Harrison kills Belcher and survives. Kazan's a 4/3, which isn't awful. Black Knight's not great for 6 mana worth of stats. Most things are 5/5s, but you can use Swipe to make up for that. But basically, they're decent bodies that you can play and help you. They'll put creatures on the board for you to combo off with Savage Roar. So creatures are more useful in general in decks with buffs. Like in Zoo, creatures are on average better because there's things like Direwolf that can pump them. And so same here, because we're playing Savage Roar, creatures are better in our deck than they would be in decks with no possible buffs. So it's actually fine. Druid is a really good deck to slot in all these tech cards. Also, we can innervate the tech cards out, like the turn our opponent has a secret we want to trigger, or not trigger and steal, or the turn we need to play that MC tech, but we want to use our mana for something else as well, or we want to innervate Black Knight, etc. We can usually play our tech cards when we want them, which is another reason Druid is great for this kind of deck. Then we have 2 Ancient of Lore as our higher curve to draw cards, heal, again very versatile again, Court of Druid. We have Dr. Boom since everybody's playing it, great creature, has been for a long time now, works particularly well with Savage Roar, and we have Cenarius again making 3 creatures for 1 or buffing the rest of our team. So, just like regular combo Druid, our goal is to combo our opponent out and kill them, of course, but we're trying to gain more tempo with our tech cards than a combo Druid deck would be able to. And in exchange we're playing slightly less mid-range minions. So really, we're looking to play at least one of our tech cards for value every game, and we can use that tempo to try and win. So that was the deck tech. We're going to go ahead and jump into some games for you guys and see how much value we can get out of these tech cards.